This remote and mountainous area of the North Caucasus, within the Kabardino-Balkaria Republic of the Russian state, is one of massive mountains and vast wilderness. Deeply buried in Russia's mountains is a location that has created endless controversy and intrigue. Natural wonder is what it is called by some, and by others it is referred to as proof of an extinct civilization. One thing is for sure, it still bewilders experts and intrigues seekers of mystery everywhere. Even excursions into the shaft were undertaken by Vadim Chernobrov, the leader of Kosmopoisk, an association devoted to investigating strange anomalies throughout Russia. From local lore and bizarre pictures to open scientific questions, this location remains one of the most perplexing finds in recent history. Constructed of parallel stone slabs that appear geometrically perfect, as if precisely cut and not naturally occurring, the site defies our conception of history. Such is the tale of the Kara-Hora shaft, and why this Russian prehistoric underground megastructure frightens scientists. Located deep in the far south of Russia is Kabardino-Balkaria, a North Caucasus republic long shrouded in mystery. Here stand some of Europe's highest mountains, such as Mount Elbrus, which looms more than 18,000 feet above sea level and is still capped with snow in summer. The terrain is characterized by rugged ridges, deep valleys, thundering rivers, and dark forests. Throughout centuries, the Caucasus was thought to be distant, inaccessible, and virtually impossible to dominate. Visitors spoke of its untamed beauty and the toughness of the population that inhabited it. Similar to the wider Caucasus, Kabardino-Balkaria is populated by a mosaic of ethnic communities, each of which maintains its own traditions, languages, and legends. Among these legends are stories about what is underneath the mountains, secret passages, perpetual caves, and underground cities constructed in bygone eras. Some accounts say whole villages once existed beneath the ground to evade invaders, while others report bizarre stone tunnels excavated not by the elements but by tools centuries beyond their period. These tales, told and retold about campfires, transmitted through generations, and eventually recorded into collections of folktales, were usually explained away as myth. But to others, they suggested possibility. By the 20th century, scientists and explorers had started giving these mountains more attention. The Soviet Union, which sought to develop the area's oil and mineral deposits, carried out wide-ranging geological surveys. Yet much remained unmapped and unknown. Locals went on talking about straight shafts, odd rock formations, and unnatural rock outcroppings. This combination of geology and folklore drew researchers, adventurers, and seekers of mystery in equal measure. Among them was a Russian cave scientist by the name of Erur Jemyukov. Intrigued by the subterranean world as a child, he dedicated his life to research on caves throughout Russia. By the late 2000s, he had established a reputation for venturing into the farthest and riskiest places. While many scholars wrote off folklore, Jemyukov accepted it, mixing local legends and even wartime accounts with scientific exploration. He trusted that legends usually incorporated remnants of truth, and when mixed with science, they were capable of resulting in astounding breakthroughs. In 2011, Jemyukov shifted his attention to Mount Kara-Hora in Kabardino-Balkaria. It was no coincidence he had chosen to do this. He had overheard many stories from the locals that depicted a weird vertical shaft in the high mountains. He also discovered World War II records suggesting that German troops had also demonstrated abnormal interest in the same area in 1942, when they invaded the Caucasus. Believing something remarkable was being kept there, Jemyukov embarked on an expedition with rock climbing equipment, scientific instruments, and a few members. It was not only to discover another cave but to determine if stories of a man-made underground complex were true. By the time he arrived at Kara-Hora in 2011, his years of preparation paid off. On a rocky hillside, half covered by plants and erosion, he spotted a slim vertical opening. It was not broad, but it descended deep into the mountain. Unlike typical cave entrances, which are jagged and irregular, this one looked artificially straight and pointed, as if whittled. To Jemyukov, it fit the descriptions he had read. Facing the shaft, Jemyukov realized he had to go down. The entrance was small but plunged vertically, like a man-made shaft carved into the stone. Initial measurements indicated it fell approximately 130 feet, the height of a 12-story building. With ropes and climbing equipment, Jemyukov and his crew set out on the perilous descent. The tunnel was constricted, compelling them to lower themselves inch by inch. Their shoulders scraped the walls as they descended. But what most surprised them was not how large the shaft was, but the walls themselves. Rather than jagged, irregular rock, the walls were straight, smooth, and polished. Under the headlamp's light, long clean lines reflected evenly, revealing none of the curves or fissures usually shaped by lava or water. The deeper they descended, the more evident it became, this had been deliberately cut. After over an hour, the climbers finally reached the bottom, only to be standing in a huge underground chamber. Their headlamps shone on a ceiling almost 120 feet above. The magnitude was overwhelming. The walls were no haphazard structure but constructed of huge rectangular blocks, others estimated to weigh more than 200 tons. Edges were sharp, faces flat, and joints so finely fitted that gaps were almost invisible. The pattern created extensive stretches of smooth walls. Other stones were column-like, bearing weight. Side passages branched off the chamber, equally smooth and sharp, as if intentionally carved. The team remained in silence. Natural caves are disorganized, curved, and irregular. That was geometric, gleaming, and deliberate. They immediately recognized that what they had entered could not be explained. But the threat was ever present. The only way out was the shaft above, a vertical ascent where one misstep would be fatal. News of the Karahora shaft spread rapidly, and people soon compared it to the Great Pyramid of Giza. The horizontally polished walls reminded the discoverers of the Great Gallery within the pyramid, where giant stone blocks dovetailed perfectly together. Even the size of Karahora's blocks appeared remarkably similar to Egyptian blocks. Might the Karahora builders have known the same as the builders of the pyramid thousands of miles away? If so, what did this mean about the spread of technology in prehistory? Speculation ran wild. Some posited the shaft belonged to a ventilation system for a huge underground complex. Others thought it was not intended for man but a resonator that transmitted unexplained energy. Some thought it was the base of a pyramid long collapsed or buried, and others supposed it was a generator, tapping into the Earth's natural power. The mystery deepened when connections to World War II surfaced. During the 1930s and 40s, Nazi leaders, especially Heinrich Himmler, became obsessed with occult knowledge. His organization, the Ahnenerbe, sought to trace the mythical origins of the so-called Aryan race, conducting expeditions to Tibet, the Middle East, and beyond. They searched for Shambhala, a legendary underground city of preserved knowledge. The German army, in 1942, initiated Operation Edelweiss to occupy the Caucasus, rich in oil. While officially it was resources that they wanted, others assumed that the Nazis were also attracted by occult rumors surrounding the mountains. Swastikas etched into rocks around Karora Peak, near the entrance of the shaft, are cited as evidence by reports. Either territorial graffiti or occult symbols, they implied that the Germans knew about the shaft several decades prior to Jemyukov. This connection to swastikas was fanning speculation as well. The symbol, old and common among cultures, such as in Central Asia and the Caucasus, had already been connected to myths surrounding prehistoric civilizations. That it turned up near Karahora seemed to indicate a site of long-standing significance over centuries, linked to lost makers of old and to questers of secret power today. But the tale of Karahora took a tragic turn soon. In 2015, Jemyukov tragically passed away, a loss deeply felt by the Russian speleological community. Research momentum came to a halt without him. Just 2 years later, in 2017, Vadim Chernobrov, the Kosmopoisk leader who had also explored the site, passed away suddenly as well. To those tracking the mystery, his death appeared eerily connected. Other adventurers and scientists involved with the expeditions also showed up in accounts of accidents and disease, sparking rumor that the shaft bore a curse, or at least secret perils. Around the same time, in 2017 to 2018, Russian digital artist and photographer Alexander Splashnov published albums of photographs from expeditions in the vicinity of Kara-Hora. His photos revealed geometric blocks, jagged edges, and flat faces so symmetrical they appeared artificial. Some showed what appeared to be tool marks, others exhibited step structures and close joints between blocks. To most, these images were the strongest visual proof that Kara-Hora was not natural, but a prehistoric construction. The images circulated far and wide online, analyzed by forums, videos, and blogs. While skeptics claimed geology could account for them, enthusiasts believed evidence of ancient engineering. But no official research followed. No peer-reviewed articles, no university-sponsored projects, no in-depth questionnaires. The mystery of Kara-Hora was locked away in popular culture, recycled in YouTube videos and podcasts, frequently blending fact and rumor. Scientific institutions' silence only fueled the intrigue. The Kara-Hora shaft frightened scientists because no explanation, neither man-made nor natural, easily fits into present understanding. If it is man-made, then it speaks of a very advanced civilization in the Caucasus thousands of years prior to Egypt or Mesopotamia. The blocks, some of which weigh more than 200 tons, and the flawless smooth, fitted walls speak of tools, machinery, and engineering prowess way beyond prehistory can explain. It would compel a complete rewriting of human history, speaking of entire missing chapters of advance. And no artifacts have been discovered, no tools, ceramics, or evidence of daily existence. If human beings constructed it, it was neither a residence nor a tomb. Its purpose is unknown, which implies technology or uses beyond our current understanding. If natural, the ramifications are just as disturbing. No geologic process known creates polished walls, angular corners, or enormous fitted blocks. Even basalt columns, while geometric, lack Kara-Hora's precision. If natural, then it is a geologic phenomenon science has never observed, one that shatters current models of rock development. Either route, it defies explanation. If man-made, it distorts history. If natural, it reveals gaps in geology. Both result in science being put in an awkward position, confronted by mysteries it cannot explain. Research has come to a halt today. No detailed maps, no official surveys, no peer-reviewed studies have been published. All that is left are shards, Splashnov's photographs, Jemukov's tragic tale, local lore, and the internet's endless arguments. Kara-Hora exists not in scholarship publications but in word of mouth, photographs, and rumor. If ever found to be artificial, it would be the largest megalithic building on our planet and the largest in size and sophistication of all the others. It would put the history of sophisticated technology back millennia and challenge us to